Welcome back to today's video. In today's video, I'm making my prediction for the 2024 election in assuming Kamala Harris wins 270 electoral votes or greater, and Kamala Harris's easiest path to reaching this 270 electoral votes and winning the presidency. Before we end today's video, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and like the video. And so we're looking at the 2024 electoral map with some of the safe, lean, and likely states filled out as you can see on your electoral map provided right in front of you. Now, we do have several states that I do want to take a look at, specifically the states of Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District. So taking a look at these particular states and one congressional district, we're going to kind of map out Kamala Harris's victory path. Now, I have already mapped out a victory path that I'm going to be giving, and this is my victory path, and I'm going to explain this in more detail. But it is North Carolina, Nevada, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Basically, is her victory path to reaching 270 electoral votes. Now, here's the thing. She could potentially do either Georgia or North Carolina. Either of those would work because both of them are worth the same number of electoral votes, and that would give her 281 electoral votes. Now, she doesn't necessarily have to win the state of Nevada in this particular instance, since she would already be at 275. Although another possible scenario, now this is the scenario that I think is most likely if she were to order to win the presidency, but this is the most likely scenario. But another scenario that you could see is her winning the state of Arizona and losing the state of North Carolina, right? Losing the state of North Carolina. Let me put North Carolina as being toss up. In that scenario, she wins 276. In that scenario, she also would not have to win the state of Nevada. So in both of those scenarios, you would not have to see her win the state of Nevada. She just had to win Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and then she would be at 270 electoral votes, and she would not have to win Nevada either. Similarly, in my last one that I just did here, you could see here that if she wins the state of Nevada, and then she wins the state of North Carolina, in both those instances, she does not need the state of Nevada, which is why I wanted to make a point here. Also, you could see also that let's say she wins the entire let's say she wins let me say she wins Michigan, Pennsylvania, and then she loses North Carolina, which and then she wins let's say Georgia, she still would be in that same position where she would not need Nevada either to win the presidency. And the only situation really where Kamala Harris would need the state of Nevada is if this were to happen. So if let's say she were to win Michigan, Pennsylvania, and then the state of Wisconsin, in that scenario, she would be at 269 electoral votes. And let's say for some reason she doesn't win Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. In that scenario, Nevada could be very useful for her because that would put her over the top at 275 electoral votes. So there are several scenarios that you could see here. But my point being here in several of these scenarios is that Nevada is not actually a very important state for Kamala Harris to win. The only scenario where these states would actually be very useful for the state of Nevada would be useful for her is really if she were to win the entire Rust Belt, and then lose, assuming she would lose North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona. So Nevada is not a very useful state for Kamala Harris in order to win the presidency. Now, for Donald Trump, it is a little bit useful because if he wins the states of North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, assuming Kamala Harris wins these states as well, and even for Donald Trump, it actually wouldn't be that useful since he would be in the exact same situation that Kamala Harris would be in which Kamala Harris would win the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. The state of Nevada is very pivotal in this particular scenario because if Donald Trump were to win the state of Nevada, what you would have is an interesting scenario where you have Donald Trump at 268 electoral votes and Kamala Harris at 269 electoral votes. In this particular scenario, Donald Trump would have to win Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, putting him at 269-269 matchup. It would go over to a Republican House of Representatives, and he would most likely win. That being said, the Republican House of Representatives is very close in terms of the number of seats that Republicans have a margin over, and you could see some Mitt Romney-esque Republicans in the House potentially voting to not vote at all or simply vote for Kamala Harris and the Tim Walz ticket. So you could see that interesting scenario that could result in which Nevada would be a very crucial state. But then in this scenario, if Kamala Harris wins the state of Nevada, you could see a scenario where she would be at 275 electoral votes. So those are several scenarios that you should really be aware of. One of the scenarios that I think is likely if Kamala Harris wins is a scenario where she wins the state of Nevada. Again, Nevada would not be necessarily needed in this scenario, but she wins Nevada, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and then North Carolina. Now, in this scenario, many of you might say, let's say she wins Wisconsin. So let's say she loses North Carolina and wins Wisconsin. Here's the thing: she's not going to win the state of Wisconsin. I have Donald Trump at around a 70 to 80% chance of winning Wisconsin, a very high chance of winning Wisconsin. Because if you take a look at the current polling data, he's only around 0.5% behind. Generally speaking, Wisconsin polling data tends to overestimate Democrats by around 6 to 7 percentage points in the general elections. So if she wins Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, in that scenario, she would have to win Nevada, assuming she loses Nebraska's second congressional district. But I think that if she were to win, she would not win Wisconsin. I don't think she's going to win Wisconsin. I think she has a better shot of winning North Carolina because North Carolina polling data is much more accurate than Wisconsin polling data. And currently, she's only behind in the state of North Carolina by around 0.6 percentage points. And Donald Trump's only had by 1 to 2 percentage points. So I could see potentially Kamala Harris winning in the state of North Carolina, or even you could swap in Georgia. If you take a look at the state of Georgia in the lead up to the in the currently Trump's had by only 0.8 percentage points, and if you go back to 2020, at around this point, in the final polling data, in the lead up to the election, Donald Trump was ahead by 1 percentage point. Joe Biden ended up winning in that state by 0.3 percentage points. So you could make an argument for either Georgia or North Carolina. Donald Trump is ahead by 0.8 percentage points. Kamala Harris could easily win in Georgia because if you go back to 2020, Donald Trump was ahead by 1 percentage points, and Joe Biden still ended up winning. So, I mean, you could see either North Carolina or Georgia. I mean, I'm a little bit indecisive if she were to win North Carolina or Georgia. I'll give Georgia for now, just because the polling data just seems to be going in that direction. But just remember, guys, it doesn't really matter. North Carolina or Georgia, they're both worth the same number of electoral votes in terms of they're both worth 16 electoral votes. So it doesn't really matter. Also, you might be thinking, let's say she wins Arizona. So let's say she does the situation where she wins Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. In this scenario, again, I just this just goes to show how useless Nevada is. Unless Kamala Harris wins the entire Rust Belt, Nevada is really a useless state. Not a useless state, as in it's not actually useless, but in terms of its electoral map, it's not very useful. She could do a situation where she wins Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. I don't think Kamala Harris, however, is going to win Arizona because it's a border state. She is behind by around 1.5 percentage points, I believe, in that state currently. So if you take a look at this right now, Arizona currently Donald Trump's at by 0.9 percentage points. I think that he will end up winning. I do think that he is going to end up winning. It's a border state. I think he's going to end up winning in that state. And I think she has a much better shot potentially in North Carolina or Georgia. So North Carolina, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and then Nevada. Nevada really is a useless state in terms of the electoral map. The only situation I've thought of so far that Kamala Harris would actually end up winning the election with Nevada is if she wins the entire Rust Belt and loses Nebraska's second congressional district, and then wins the state of Nevada. Other than that, there's not really a situation where Nevada is actually really helpful. She could do a situation where she loses North Carolina, loses Nevada, wins Michigan, wins Pennsylvania, and then wins Arizona. So that is my prediction as of right now for Kamala Harris's easiest path to 270 electoral votes. Guys, if you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and like the video. Make sure you comment down below what type of videos you want next, and I'll see you in the next video.